I'm speaking with Fabio Scaldafelli, who recycles mattresses in Vancouver. Thanks for being here, Fabio.
Thank you, Jan. It's a pleasure to be here in Nanaimo with the Nanaimo bars.
Great. Leave some for us, though, hey? So I'm going to get right to the questions about recycling mattresses. Can you tell us briefly what your business is and why you decided to start it?
Yes, so we recycle mattresses, box springs, and futons. The company is called mattressrecycling.ca. And we are located in Vancouver, South Vancouver, right in the heart of the industrial area. We demanufacture those items manually in our facility in Vancouver. And we separate each unit into their different components. And those components are then handled in various ways to be sent out for remanufacturing. Not into new beds. We don't recover beds or do any of that. We deconstruct all of them. And did you ask how I got into it?
Yeah, why did you start that business?
I just saw an opportunity, and I've always been very passionate about the environment. And I was actually watching CBC online, and I saw that they were doing it in Quebec, and figured, wow, we don't do that here. I've never thought of that, and it's pretty exciting. So brought together some business partners, and that was in 2008, and now we are recycling a lot of mattresses in our facility.
So just some questions about the process. How does the mattress get to you?
So we work with the transfer stations and the landfill, and then municipalities, and so all the different organizations that we work with, they deal with the trucking. So our facility is focused on demanufacturing the units, and we don't deal with trucking. So for example, the transfer stations in the area, including Whistler and Squamish, they will accept a mattress for a surcharge, which is generally $15. And within that amount, they will pay for their own trucking and, of course, their administration, and they'll also pay us less than the 15, so closer to 10. So on each unit they have room for paying for services to move the mattresses. Generally every day they'll move a 50-yard bin to our facility. So we're receiving about 400 units a day, and we're open 7 days a week. So we don't deal with trucking.
And so how does the person with the mattress find out if it's recyclable in their community?
We pride ourselves on being #1 on Google organically. So if you type in mattress recycling or mattress recycling Vancouver, it will pop up as #1. So a lot of information is stated on our website. But one really amazing part of the system in Metro Vancouver is that a resident doesn't need to make any changes in terms of the way that they think necessarily. They can take their garbage, including their mattress, to the transfer station, and as usual. And the transfer station or the recycling center, which we love to work with as well, they will surcharge them, and then they'll transfer them to us. So regardless of what you do with your mattress, it will end up at a facility like ours. So
those are the drop-off locations, the recycling depots and the transfer stations, in specific municipalities or in every municipality?
There's a bylaw that was passed in January 1st, 2011 in Metro Vancouver, so 21 municipalities. And so that mandates that mattresses and box springs and futons cannot be landfilled or incinerated. So now every municipality you go to will have a solution. So, for example, there's a recycling center in Maple Ridge that they'll surcharge and divert to a recycling center like mine. Actually, there are three. In Metro Vancouver, there are 3 competing mattress recycling companies, and so that's an example. You can go pretty much to any of the waste and recycling related facilities to deal with your mattress.
So the big question, who pays and at what points do people pay?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the consumer will pay. So a resident that has a mattress that they need to get rid of, they're incentivized to come straight to us and save a bit of money, or they can go to a transfer station and spend a little bit more, or a recycling center. So a consumer, if you're trying to get rid of your mattress, you pay $12.50 at our door, or you pay $15 at the other places. And then if you go more into the back end of the system, the transfer station or landfill or the municipality will pay us for their bulk loads per piece as well. Also sanitation, the streets department, the guys who collect off like in the alleys, they will also truck them to us. So, and that's on the taxpayer's dime.
These are mattresses picked up off the streets?
Off the streets, yes. Yeah. The sanitation department for different municipalities like Burnaby and Vancouver and many others, they'll do that. So they'll get billed directly for that, which I guess comes out of all of our pockets.
Can you describe what happens to the mattress once it reaches your facility, and then what happens down the line and who else is involved in the processing?
Absolutely, yeah. We will unload the trucks for the customers and then put them into storage on the side. A team of generally about 24 people will be pulling them off the piles and then cutting each one apart on a table and taking all the components out, because they're all made with the same materials, just made in different ways. So it does take a person to sort of visually separate everything manually. So we break it into foam, cotton, plastic, steel, of course, there's wood, there's coconut husk, there's felt, toppers, lots of different materials, and we deal with all of those in different ways. The biggest ones would be steel, of course, gets sold as scrap steel. Foam goes into the carpet underlay manufacturing, and it all stays within North America. And so do the toppers, that gets made into the carpet underlay. Plastic goes into the plastic film recycling industry, and cotton gets remade into upholstery, so it gets sanitized and processed heavily. And then wood gets shredded, made into mulch or fuel, depending on where you go. So some of those items we actually pay to get rid of, and some of them we make money on.
It's the way it is in recycling, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure you're very familiar with that.
Yeah, very. Are there any local governments involved in your program? I know you said something about the bans, landfill bans.
Yeah.
Is there any other support or?
Yes, there's a lot of support in Metro Vancouver, and actually they're a world leader in this type of recycling, from what we understand, because Metro Vancouver actually passed the first bylaw that bans them from landfill and incineration. So Metro Vancouver is a big part of our picture, and then of course all the cities within that. So we won the RFP recently for the city of Vancouver and city of Burnaby. So there are lots: Coquitlam, North Shore, Squamish, Whistler, Richmond, and they're all involved in doing the right thing with mattresses and box springs and futons.
What are the challenges when recycling mattresses?
Challenges? One of our biggest concerns recently is pocket coils. They're the bowling ball ad sort of thing, it's a specific type of core that's in a mattress, and it was before being recycled through like conventional scrap steel recyclers, but there's too much contamination. So we're working hard on a solution. We're working with an SFU researcher. We've done research ourselves, and it's an ongoing process. So that's a challenge. Luckily for us, like our staffing is a big thing for us. We have 50 employees, and there's a certain amount of turnover. So that's always a challenge. But we're actually really situated well because we're so close to the bus routes and we're right in the city. else? I think those are the biggest ones. That's it.
So this is something we want to think of doing in Nanaimo. I've been to your facility, and I've seen that you've developed a pretty slick process for dealing with the mattresses, and that it's not a process that somebody could just, well, your process seems to work really well, and I don't think there are other people doing it the way you do it.
Yeah.
And so for Nanaimo to have a program, we'd either need to have a spy network that went to your facility, or we would simply supply you with mattresses.
Yeah,
is there a way for that to happen?
And that's one thing that we'd be so happy to do, is to work with Nanaimo to receive all of your mattresses. And as I was telling you earlier, in Metro Vancouver there are 3 recycling companies. So I mean, of course, we'd love to get your business, but it doesn't have to be like an monopoly sort of thing. But yeah, that is, I think, one challenge that I forgot to mention is that it is a volume-based business, and in 2008 and 2009 we were operating with a very small volume, and it wasn't doable, like financially. We couldn't handle it, so that's partially why we were lobbying to change the bylaw. Well, that's the reason why. So it's a scale thing, and it sounds like with Nanaimo there's a very good structure going on with the recycling center, and I think that would be a very complementary item that could be transferred to a recycling facility that specializes in mattresses and box springs.
So you mentioned, this is my last question, you've mentioned design problems because of the pocket coils.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, my last question is what's the future of recycling mattresses? And I don't know if it's going to be on the upswing or if future design is complicating that, but where do you think it's going to be going? Is it going to get bigger, smaller?
Yeah, well, hopefully the manufacturers start to design with recycling in mind, because I think before mattresses they've never been recycled traditionally. It's always just been a landfill item. So this is a very new sort of thing, and hopefully they start to consider the fact that these items are being demanufactured, and so an issue like pocket coils would be solved before it was even created. But I mean, in my opinion, the future of mattress recycling is that it's picked up by municipalities all over British Columbia, all over Canada, all over North America. It's starting to gain some traction, but I think the municipalities and organizations need to move faster on it, because it's such a, from my perspective, an easy and simple solution and simple system. It's a terrible landfill item for so many reasons. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I think there's nothing worse. We've all done it. Nothing worse than the feeling of when you take a mattress to a landfill and dump it into the bin or on the pile that just sits there and it's so big. And then I come to your facility and I see that every single part of it is taken off, and there's a pile for all of those things that are getting baled and shipped and used for something somewhere.
Absolutely.
So it seems to be that you can trace down the line where everything goes, and there's a use for many of those things from mattresses. So
for sure. Yeah, we take the items and we basically put them right back into the manufacturing world, and they're a high volume, low weight items. So it's, again, not a good, as you said, not a good thing for landfill.
Okay, well, here's to a future of recycling more mattresses.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
very much.